Mass evacuations of an inner-city quarantine hotel have been taking place throughout the day after a cluster of 6 people infected with the UK strain of COVID-19 were confirmed, all with links to the Hotel Grand Chancellor. But it sparked anger among the guests, many of whom were about to finish their compulsory stays, only to be told they'd have to begin the 14-day quarantine period all over again. Here's Stephanie Zillman.
Nearly 130 people quarantining at the Hotel Grand Chancellor were looking forward to going home. Instead, they got a knock at the door from police last night.
It's very frustrating for us, being 1 hour away from release, and then we get told the 11th hour that we're stuck here for maybe another 2 weeks.
Ambulances lined the street in a mass evacuation, taking the remaining travellers to other hotels as a precaution. But there's growing frustration and anger.
I've tested negative 4 times in 25 days. 3 tests here, 1 test pre-flight from the US. And how many times do I have to test negative to be negative?
Those being moved will no longer have to pay for their hotel quarantine, the only compensation offered.
I know it's going to be very tough on these particular guests that they now have to do an additional 14 days. However, it is necessary.
6 cases have all been linked to a breach at the Hotel Grand Chancellor. The more contagious strain was first detected in a UK traveller and his partner on the 7th floor, who arrived on December 30th. A week later, a cleaner at the hotel tested positive to the strain, later infecting her partner. In the past 24 hours, a man and his adult daughter returning from Lebanon, housed on the same floor, also tested positive to the UK strain. All 6 cases linked by genome sequencing.
We don't have CCTV on that particular floor, so that means we have to be even more meticulous about how we go about our investigation.
The part that continues to confound authorities, how the virus jumped from the original UK couple to the cleaner and to the father and daughter from Lebanon.
Which is why I've advised the Premier this morning that I think the safest thing to do is to move all of the guests out of that hotel to other hotels immediately.
While the hotel hasn't taken any new guests since the cleaner became infected, the precautions don't end there. Hundreds of employees who worked at the hotel since December 30, as well as hundreds more who quarantined here, have all been ordered to immediately isolate.
The fact that all of these 6 people were on the 7th floor, how did it get transmitted? Was it in the air conditioning? Was it movement? Was it picking up something?
The investigation is still underway, but the Premier wants a nationwide review of procedures for people entering the country.
This is of concern. It is of national concern, not just to Queensland, but everywhere else.
Stephanie Zillman, ABC News, Brisbane.
Let's go live now to reporter Rachel Rieger, who's outside the Hotel Grand Chancellor. Now, Rach, it's been the centre of action all day, so what's the situation there now?
Lexi, it's been an absolute hive of activity all day, and that's continuing into this evening as this mammoth health response continues. So what we've seen is ambulances. They've been lined up outside the hotel all day, getting ready to transfer those 129 hotel guests to other hotels across the city. So we've seen police and paramedics working for hours together. They've been dressed in masks and gowns and gloves. They've been taking those guests out of the hotel, who are also wearing protective clothing, putting them into the ambulances and getting them ready for transport. So what we have also heard from Queensland Health this evening is that they've asked those 226 staff members who worked at the hotel since December 30th to isolate and get tested, but they're looking at how that's possible. So potentially if their household puts them at risk of infecting other people, they too may have to go into hotel quarantine, but they are hoping they may be able to isolate at home. So we have spoken to a number of guests here at the hotel. Many of them had their bags packed. They were ready to leave today, and they were hoping that potentially they could go home and isolate at home. But that does seem unlikely. They have been told their quarantine period will reset. That's caused several guests, one in particular, to feel devastated and absolutely helpless.
Obviously, it's very tough to be confined in a single room where you can't go outside. very limited contact.
So, Lexi, health authorities are asking anyone that completed a quarantining period here at the hotel from December 30th to isolate and get tested, and that extends to anyone who may have gone interstate. So that means that a massive contact tracing effort is underway.
All right, thanks, Rach, for that update. The Australian Defence Force has confirmed 2 foreign military officials who were quarantining in a hotel in Darwin have tested positive for COVID-19. The Defence Department says they are among hundreds of foreign military and their dependents who came to the Northern Territory on the 11th of January. He says the cases, a 19-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman staying in the travel lodge, haven't interacted with the NT community. But they say all their known close contacts have been moved now to the federally run Howard Springs quarantine facility.